one of the things I really like is this tool, Bright Local. It's not really necessary, and it's completely free to use. If you go to brightlocal.com and then see local search result checker with dashes in between the words, this will give you kind of a local search result for any area. So let's do concrete. One of the things I want to know is what the search volume is for this. So if I type in like foundation, so there's foundation repair, concrete, foundation contractors. So a lot of times what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Ahrefs account, but there, like I mentioned before, there is keywords everywhere. If you don't want to pay for Ahrefs, then check out keywords everywhere. Look in the guide there, and you'll see all the different. I covered it on a call. Okay, so I'm going to do concrete foundation. I'll type in that, and it will give me. So concrete foundation has 2,700 searches a month. Maybe I'm going to do. Let's see what foundation repair looks like. 32,000 searches a month. So that is quite a bit more. So I think that is an expensive ticket item.
It's very expensive. I would just say be careful about special licensing. I don't think that it's true in every state, but I think that some states do have special licensing for foundation repair.
So you may not just be able to be like a run-of-the-mill concrete contractor and then be able to do this. Is that what you're saying, Jeff?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to change this to be foundation repair, and I'm going to proceed knowing that I'm going to have to probably find some sort of specialist. So in this area, I can put in the city I'm going to look at first. So it's Charleston, South Carolina. So this will check Google. This will check the maps. I'll click on this. It's going to come back. And if I click on this page, it's going to show me what the first page would look like if I'm there. Instantly, I don't like what I see. All these people at foundation and the GMB name. This guy has 93 reviews. This guy has 220. Okay, so I'm on to the next city. I'm just like stopping right there.
When I see that crawl-space solutions, right? Third in the map pack was crawl space. Never even heard of that niche.
Crawl space. Maybe that's like related to that other one that Kareem had. Like
I know. It's crazy.
Repair. Okay, so I've got Charleston, South Carolina in there. Now I'm just going to go into like Joliet, Illinois. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start off. How was that spelled? Is it like that? Okay. All right. So I love it when I see that there's ads here too. You can kind of see that this is this one doesn't have foundation repair in the name. So I think this is maybe a little bit lower than the previous one. If this were me, I might like dive into it a little bit more. There's also less reviews, but I really think that if I go through a lot of these cities, I'm going to find one where there's like no website or there's like barely any reviews. Some of this is just like, there's no rhyme or reason as to why one city is tougher than another. Like what led to the fact that several companies have done the work necessary. This, like anything that's in California, you just be a little bit careful because you might end up having even more regulation. Look at that, 300 reviews. This guy's 12 reviews. Let's pretend that I found the one that I'm looking for, and I'm kind of moving. I guess I'll try a couple more. Let's try Pomona. So I can roll out one really quickly just by kind of looking at the map pack for a few seconds and deciding. So you can kind of see that this guy's got 300. That's a construction company. We got foundation repair in the name here. Foundation repair here as well. Okay. It'd be really cool if somebody built a tool that could do this for you guys. All right. There's Bellevue, Washington. Don't have any sites in Washington. Foundation repair, foundation repair. You guys get the gist of this. Let's pretend that I've gone through and I found one where there's like barely any stuff going on here, right? Where maybe the guy's got like 7 reviews maybe it doesn't have a website, maybe these other two guys don't have foundation repair in the name, then I like to look at the website and I'm going to plug it in. I'm going to kind of give it a smell test too of like, what does this feel like to me? This feels like a pretty well-designed company. There's almost no content on the site. That's something I pay attention to that apparently Shiv doesn't pay a lot of attention to. One of the things that I'm also going to do every time when I want to know who the best person in the maps is. So if we look at this company, if we go back and get the name of this GMB, which was Seattle Foundation Repair, right? So if I go over here and I type in Seattle Foundation Repair, I think it's this company. Okay, so that's it, 31 reviews. Just kind of go back here, 31 reviews, Seattle Foundation Repair. So that's my company. I'm going to take this and I'm going to put this in here, and I want to run a heat map on this company every time. That's just me. Like I want to know if this is truly the best company, because we know how much local rankings can change as we move around the city. And who knows where this tool, they chose one spot on the map. So maybe that company's ranking really well, but maybe there's somebody else that is a lot better. And I didn't even know, because I just looked at this one that happened to come up first, right? So foundation repair, that's what we're looking at. Okay, so I'm going to choose 1 mile apart. I'm going to set this to be 13. And okay, so if we were looking and where were we at? Were we in Bellevue, or what was that place called? Bellevue. Okay, so this is going to center probably on where the actual GMB is. So I would find out where, oh, there's Bellevue right there. Okay, so I'm going to redraw this because this is the city I'm actually evaluating, and I myself really like it when there's a situation like this where there's a big city next to another big city, because then I'm just kind of like seeing the future of, I'm going to dominate this city, and then I'm going to go after this other city, and I'm going to have one client who's going to like take over this whole, you know, joint area here, this like twin city metropolitan area here between these two different cities. I don't know. Bellevue is obviously a subset of Seattle, but I would imagine that a lot of these companies are going to do both, especially if you're in a high ticket niche. They're going to be willing to travel over here, you know, unless there's some weird like traffic situation, like we found out is the case apparently in Cape Cod, where you can't really go to different pirates because it's like 3 or 4 hours, even though it's only like 20 miles. So we can kind of see that this company is doing pretty well. So once this comes back, this might be the #1 company in town. And then I'm going to make sure that I do my due diligence on them when I make the decision of how difficult the niche is. I want to make sure that I'm evaluating the right company, because it could be really misleading if, like, imagine that like this tool decided that it would do the search from this spot in the upper right corner, and they were ranked #1 here, but all over the rest of the city they were all 20s. And then I go into this niche because I evaluated them thinking that they were #1, and they weren't. And then I can't figure out why it's so hard for me to rank, where like all over the rest of the city there is, you know, a bunch of much tougher people. Once I have that, I'm going to start looking at, I'm going to look at their backlinks. So, you know, this tool right here, I mentioned this a few times in the past. This is a free tool. Let me show you. Let's bring these guys back up. We'll look at this company here. So if you have an Ahrefs account, that's great, and that can make life easier. This is the number, like this is the one that we're evaluating. This tool right here is this Majestics like backlink tool. So it's a free tool. You don't have to have a Majestics account. You do have to play their CAPTCHA game. I am the worst person ever on these things. All right. Okay, I got it. That was a record for me. So now I can go in here, I can look at this, and I can see what their trust flow and citation flow is. Those are numbers I don't like to see. 1930, like I'll find somebody that has a 0 here, right? I'll find someone that's a 0.8 or 0.30 or something like that. But this is starting to paint the picture of somebody that I don't really want to play with, right? This is like, this might be the basketball player that's like 5'9", or 5'10", but I know that there's people out there that are 5'1". So I'm going to find one of those people to play basketball against, right? So they've got some decent content on their site. This looks like a legit company to me, right? It looks like they've paid somebody. It looks like they probably have a lot of pages on their site too. I pay attention to how many pages they have on their site because I think content really matters as far as when Google decides to rank someone. So this kind of paints the picture of I'm not super excited to do it. And what I would also be doing is, like, I would take this stuff and I would go into this research here and use this due diligence tool, and I would build out the spreadsheet for the things that are important to me. So if you guys aren't taking advantage of this, you can essentially build out whatever it is that you want. You can see a couple fields I've added here, like the heat map share link. So I could have a link in my sheet to like the ranking of them. And I could just like pop up that link of the heat map. This is the heat map average. I would probably include reviews. I would include like maybe content rating. So I can add all these things in here. And then when I go to evaluate this, so this could just be like Patrick sheet, right? All right. So when I go to evaluate this and I choose to do a new niche, I could go back here and I evaluate this and I could choose Patrick sheet, and then it will have whatever questions I've added, right? So I could build this out, and at the end of this, so if we say like, what was it, like Bellevue, and it wants to know if it's a new niche or an existing, I'll choose new, and I'll make this like foundation repair. Okay, and then I'll put in my heat map average. Maybe they had an average of 3.2. Okay, so it's going to ask me now how I want to rate this. So this is kind of my subjective opinion of how tough this niche is, right? So let's say I make this, or how good of an opportunity it is. I don't think, based on what I saw, I don't think it's a great opportunity. So maybe I'll mark this as a 3. And now I've kind of got this in here. And when I want to go back and I want to like look at my niche, so maybe I'll look at, is that Bellevue? I can look at all the ones that I've evaluated in Bellevue, and that one will be there, right? And it's rated as a 3. So this tool, I don't think gets a lot of talk, but as I was saying at the beginning of the call, I think if we spent more time diving into these niches and less time like trying to sharpen our axe as far as like learning all the like top level super secret ranking strategies, like we probably don't need those if we just choose better niches, right? If like that seems like an easier, like a path with less resistance. Okay, cool. So I'm just going to revisit that heat map real quick, and let's just take a look and see what that thing looks like. 1 second here. So it's like it's still in progress, huh? I mean, that company is really dominant. So I know that I'm probably looking at the right company when I'm trying to evaluate things. Like, that's the company I want to evaluate. This tool is not, like, the fact that this says all ones doesn't mean that they're great. It means that they're the best in the market. So now you know to evaluate the right market. These numbers are all relative to how they're ranking compared to everyone else, right? So this lets you know that this is the company that you should be evaluating. And if you go over here and you look at these averages here, you can see that their average is a 1.21. So their average score on here is 1.21, right? So I know that this is the company that I need to evaluate. And I can just click here and pop out there, and dive into this further and get to their website, right? Wherever it is, Seattle Foundation Repairs. Another clue is they've got foundation repairs in their domain name. That's another red flag for me. So these are the things that I would look at when I'm trying to decide if I want to go into a niche.